Durham's new police chief is no stranger to our city. Chief Patrice Andrews started her career here 26 years ago, and now she's back in one of the weightiest positions in our organization. To say that she's come at a challenging time would be an understatement, but City Manager Wanda Page has called her a progressive and innovative 21st century policing leader who is more than up to the challenge. Welcome to City Life. I'm Beverly Thompson. Joining me to give a little more insight about who she is and to talk about what lies ahead for her is Police Chief Patrice Andrews. Chief Andrews, thanks so much for joining me. And I apologize that it has to be virtual, but Omicron controls our lives these days.
And doesn't it? It really does. I thought we would be done, finished, finito. But I understand, but it's still great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Great to see you too. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. Chief, let's get started with why you wanted to come back to Durham.
You know, I often talk about my steps being ordered, right? That this was, we refer to a full circle moment. And I will say to you that there was an overwhelming pull and a need for me to be back in the place that I feel most comfortable in. The Durham Police Department in the city of Durham means a lot to me in my heart, both where I started my career, but also, I have family here that's in Durham, and I have a lot of really great memories in Durham, and I am personally invested in seeing Durham thrive as a community, and also see the Durham Police Department thrive as well.
Okay. Now, Chief, let me say, first of all, we are so happy that you're back, but you've also called this a pretty pivotal time for our city and for the police department, in fact. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so this is a moment for us where we are seeing, and we're not the only ones, but certainly in respect to Durham, we're seeing the most dramatic increase in our homicide rate, shootings, just incidents of violent crime. And at that same time, we are seeing officers leaving our agency, not just to go to other agencies, but are leaving the career and the profession altogether. And so, for us, this is a moment where we must take action as a community to preserve our safety and make Durham a safer place, but also make sure that we are keeping our officers and we are not losing any more officers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I know starting last month, several high-ranking members in the police department, including yourself, started taking regular patrol shifts. Who came up with that idea?
Well, I will not take credit for it. So this was a part of a larger discussion that I was very purposeful in having with our patrol squads. And so the very first group of people that I really wanted to talk to was uniform patrol. And so over the course of about a month and a half or so, every weekend, I met with the different squads and took some really great time with them to really hear their perspective on police work in general, but also why they joined the Durham Police Department, why they stay, and this also allowed me an opportunity to hear some of their feedback. Right, so my view of the police department and the operations is much different than maybe their view. But it is just as important to hear what they have to say and their thoughts and ideas. And some of the feedback was, we would love to see our executive staff more. We would love to see investigators more. Can they help us? Can you all help us? And so from that, they planted the seed, took it to my executive team. And we came up with this idea of establishing structured patrols for not just us, but for everyone that is not on uniform patrol, which would be Specialized Investigations, CID, Special Operations Division, SOD. And it was just really important for us to get back to our roots, right, where it all started, but also to be out there and be able to be there for our officers.
Mhm. So, Chief, we'll talk about vacancies just a little later, but what does that kind of decision say about the type of leadership style that the department and residents can expect from you?
So I will tell you, I'm a constant learner. I believe that as a leader, you have to be open to learning and listening, as well as being the teacher. And so I will tell you what my officers can expect from me, as well as my community, is that I am always willing to learn and ready to learn, and also taking that information back and challenging my staff to think bigger, think broader, being more innovative. No longer saying, because this is something that we always did, right? So we, as the profession is changing, we must also to change. So I'm a change agent. I am also very nurturing. I do believe that everyone has a voice, no matter what position you play in this agency or what position you are in our community. I believe that everyone has a voice, and those voices matter.
Uh-huh. So, Chief, it's no secret that police departments across the country, and including here in Durham, are experiencing high vacancy rates. What do you think is the cause of that?
I say that there's not one route, but there are several, right? So, I think that obviously pay and compensation for public safety in general is a part of it. But then you really bring into it the feeling that officers have expressed to me of not being supported. The feeling that the profession is under attack. With COVID, I think COVID certainly didn't help us, because there was almost a period of isolation, which we knew has caused our numbers to go up as it relates to calls to assist people in crisis, and ultimately, I think officers are feeling that. Listen, I feel like I'm having to do everything, and I'm not equipped to do everything, right? Which is one of the reasons why here in Durham, I love the fact that we have the community safety department, right? Because it's clear that Durham gets it. Durham understands that our law enforcement, we are not equipped to handle every single situation.
Okay. Well, still, I understand that, but you still need officers. And what do you think some of your tactics might be to address it?
Yeah, so we are going to be thinking outside of the box. Traditionally, we've gone to recruiting fairs that have been held at military bases and law enforcement community fairs, things like that, recruiting fairs. But, the 21st century police officer is a police officer that has non-traditional skills, right? So we are talking about a generation of officers that are diverse in their background, and that may not have started out wanting to engage in a profession related to criminal justice, but may have other skills that certainly are needed in the field. So we want to tap into that. We also want to, take a look at what the compensation, what we are offering to our officers, and also for our retention as well. How are we awarding our officers? How are we really giving them a seat at the table? And are we actively reassessing that each year to make sure that we are staying ahead of the curve? Understanding that compensation is not something that we solely have control over, but there are some things that within the agency we can do to really, and I call it low-hanging fruit, but really to embrace our staff and make them understand that they are appreciated. And that's our entire staff, both sworn and non-sworn.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Let's take a little different direction here. I know we don't have the crime numbers from the last quarter yet, but we do know that 2021 saw a record number of homicides actually, here in Durham, and probably the most for the last couple of decades, actually. So how do you hope to address the deadly violence that has been so obvious here?
So I will tell you that it is going to take a village right? And, we here at the police department hope to enhance our community efforts, our community outreach efforts. We are currently looking at software that will help us do that a little bit better, that will help us communicate our efforts a little bit more. But really, it is getting out and being visible and being seen, being very open and transparent about what it is that we can offer as a part of a strategy to address overall violent crime. What we do know is that violent crime is a symptom of a bigger problem, right? A bigger quality of life issue that can't necessarily be tied back to one thing, but it does provide us an opportunity to engage in partnerships and be able to cultivate new partnerships with some of our grassroots organizations. So we are looking forward to doing that as a team.
Okay. Chief, I know you said that you think that there's more of a violent element to the shootings that we're having. What did you mean by that?
It is the number of shots being fired. One shot is too much. Okay. I really do believe that. And I think we all do as well. But when we look at the multiple rounds, so when we have 30, 40 rounds of expended casings where bullets have been fired, that is mind blowing to me. And the fact that this is happening frequently it does indicate that there is an increased level or a higher level of the wanting to get someone, the being committed to committing this crime. And unfortunately, the commitment is there to end a life. And that's one of the most disturbing things about this trend that we're seeing. And Chief, I know this is a hard question, but what do you think are the questions that need to be asked and the issues even that need to be addressed to even start to deal with this? Yeah, that is a toughie, I will tell you. It's certainly some things that I've thought about, haven't had all the answers to, but what I will say is that we have the resources in Durham. Durham is one of the few cities in the state that has the amount of grassroots organizations, both within the city and then outside of. I think we need to, as a team, assess what is our role, right? And are we fulfilling our goals that we have really set out to achieve and accomplish? And if the answer is no, or we could do better, then I think it is up to each one of us to be able to find that common connection, that common ground, because we could all improve in our outreach. But we are stronger together than we are apart. And I could not even imagine the magnitude of work that could be done in this city if all of the wonderful organizations that are here come together, right, and as one across all communities.
So, Chief, I hate to even allude to this, but it's obvious that the shooting at South Point Mall the day after Thanksgiving, plus other fairly egregious incidents, probably have people thinking that it's just not safe right now. Do you see these kinds of confrontations that happen like this becoming more brazen and more bold? I think you alluded to it just a few minutes ago with the number of bullets fired.
Yeah, so, I don't know that the incidents are going to be consistently like that. I think it's sporadic. I really do. Do I think that we're going to continue to have where there's multiple shots fired? I do. I really do, because that really is what we are seeing. However, what I would say is I would offer this because I was, I love South Point. Shop at South Point, and really do love the atmosphere, still do. What I would say is that was such a shocking series of events in such a short period of time. It really did have people responded in such a way that they did not feel safe. And I will tell you that's the furthest from reality. So South Point Mall remained a safe place to be. City of Durham remains a safe place to be, despite the incidents that we have seen over the past, and most certainly the incidents that will occur.
Mhm.
And what we have found is that this is not a large group of people that are coming into the city. This is an isolated group of folks, and you've heard me say this, that are coming in and bringing in guns and are committing these crimes, and they're leaving. This is not Durham. This is not who we are. This is not who our community ultimately is.
Okay. So thank you for answering that. I know that was a tough subject to talk about, but let's just switch up a little bit and talk about the Latino community. How are you planning to address their concerns, especially the ones that are so important to them, such as U visas and deportation?
Yeah, I will say, I am fortunate that for me, it's really about having to reconnect and reestablish some of the relationships that I had when I left Durham. And I've started to do that. We have really been very purposeful in making sure that, our U visa program is stronger than ever. I applaud my staff for their continued efforts, to the point that and I've said this a time or two, when we receive our U visas in and they are not filled out appropriately or correctly, we fix those U visas. We make a phone call to the applicant or the applicant's attorney, and work together to make sure that we're fixing some of the mistakes that we've seen on the U visas. In the near future, as soon as Omicron allows us, we will be conducting U visa seminars, and that will be we'll be relying heavily on our liaison, our Hispanic and Latinx Latino liaison. We will be putting on forums that will actually tell people and show people how to fill out a U visa properly. When is a U visa approved? So when do we sign approving the U visa, and when is the U visa not necessarily going to be approved because it does not meet certain criteria? On top of that, I think it's really important that that I continue to be engaged, continue to listen. I believe in the strength of culture. That, we should never just be familiar with our own culture, that we should strive to be familiar with as many cultures as we can and really engage. And so I'm looking forward to doing just that.
So in addition to the Latino community, how do you plan to build connections with other sectors?
Yeah, so recognizing that we have so many great communities within Durham. So it's reaching out to, I call them their anchors, right? So reaching out to North Carolina Central University and reaching out to many of our faith-based leaders, as well as our LGBTQ community, reaching out to their anchors. So their common places, whether it's at the centers, so at El Centro Hispano, being able to reach out and connect there, or just simply being present at, many of our places where I know that our community loves to gather. So at churches and at community gatherings, and really taking advantage of that opportunity to go where our community, where they are.
Now, Chief, I would think this is something that would not have happened, 30, 40, even 20 years ago. But in that vein, can you tell me what you think has changed about policing since you started out?
So I will tell you, just starting out in law enforcement, really we had one vision or one goal, and that was to lock up the bad guys, arrest. We were very heavily driven. So it was, your success as an officer was not necessarily measured by how many lives you changed, but how many foot chases you got into, or how much drugs you seized. And it was different. So, and that was that time. right? Law enforcement has grown in a positive way. It's taken a long time to reform, but we are moving in that direction. And so what you're seeing now is the shift of no longer having the attitude of the only way that we can reduce crime is by locking up the bad guys. Because what we've seen is that has led to issues as like over policing, and certainly, really the disparate amount of Black and brown people that are incarcerated because of over policing. So, at this time for law enforcement, being able to call Director Smith, Ryan Smith, with the Community Safety Department and have these conversation about alternative models of assistance and alternate ways instead of policing and law enforcement is tremendously refreshing. And so this is the law enforcement that I really am thrilled to be a part of.
I know Wanda Page called you a 21st century leader, policing leader, and innovative leader, and you certainly sound like that. And I'm sure Durham is glad to hear, what you think about moving forward in policing. So getting a little personal, tell me what keeps you up at night?
Oh, well, it really is where is something going to happen next? Whether it's the next crime or the next, victimization, or am I going to lose more officers tomorrow? Am I going to wake up to find that I have, I've lost 5 more officers? Those are the things that keep me up. How to think long term, maintaining the balance between being a law enforcement officer, but also being a social justice reformer, right? And making sure that we are bringing candidates and hiring officers into our agency that believe in reform in law enforcement. And then the violence in the community that I love. So I don't live within Durham, but that doesn't mean that I don't love Durham any less. And it touches me deeply when I hear of violent crimes and incidences that have happened, because I know people in those communities. And my heart, I have a tremendous amount of empathy, and that's what keeps me up at night. What keeps me, it's not the hours or because this is something that I have chosen to do, and I'm committed to doing.
And Chief, I have to be honest, I've talked to a lot of people and they tell me they would not be a police officer right now. But there's something that you must find rewarding about being in law enforcement. Tell me what it is, and tell our viewers what it is.
And I hear that too. But I will tell you that law enforcement is at a point where a change is coming. And it is a rewarding profession, because what I do know for sure is that we change lives every day. And each one of our officers has the power to change a life, to save a life, to establish lifelong relationships with people that they may never have encountered in any other profession but this one. And that is a great responsibility. And quite frankly, for me, there are things that you have to deal with as a law enforcement officer, but really it's those rewarding moments that really do make up for the things that aren't so great, right? It's the feeling of fulfillment. It's the watching. So for me, I will tell you, I've actually watched generations of young people. When I was here at the Durham Police Department, I watched them born and watched them grow into adults. And it's because of officers that I knew intervened in their lives. gone on to be extremely productive human beings.
Mhm.
And that makes this profession one that you should get into.
Wow. Well said. Thank you so much for joining us. But before I end, I just want to know if there's anything you'd like to add or anything you want to leave people with, any messages, and talk about any other challenges that you might face as you complete your first few months on the job.
Yeah, so I will say this time being back for me has been most rewarding. I have been able to really talk with many people and engage with many people. And what I have found is that our community is extremely supportive of our officers, public safety in general. And for that, I am tremendously thankful and grateful. I'm grateful for the support from City of Durham leadership. I'm grateful for, the support from the businesses and, just people just expressing how proud they are of the police department. And I will say that I am thankful for that. I will also say that we do have work still that needs to be done. But the great thing is that we can do this as a community, and I will continue to really be consistent in my message that it is together that we will move forward, not apart. And that is my commitment. That is the Durham Police Department's commitment to our community, to all of you, is that together we will move forward, and we are ready, willing, and certainly engaged and able to be a partner in this, in a new Durham, a better Durham, the Durham that we all know and love.
Right. Chief, thank you so much for being with me. I know how busy you are, but we would love to have you back in a few months just to talk about progress that's being made on a lot of different fronts.
I absolutely, I love talking. So, I'd love to come back, and I love talking to you, and I would love to, especially now that we are moving forward with pay, and love to update you on that. So absolutely.
All right, Chief, thanks a million. I appreciate it. Well, that does it for City Life. Don't forget to follow us on social media, watch us on Durham Television Network and on YouTube. And now you can listen to our podcast as well on iTunes. I'm Beverly Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me to learn more about city life in Durham.